Hi everyone, Ed here, and today we're going to be taking a look at a mod for Assetto Corsa, which is for drifting, and this is a Street Heroes mod for a 180SX S13. In particular, it's the RPS13, which is the hatchback version. This particular mod is actually a mod of a mod. So the Street Heroes guys are a group of guys who put together these mods for Assetto Corsa for drifting, and a few of them like to do little modifications, little changes to the cars that are already available. In particular, this one we're looking at the Nissan 180SX RPS13. Now they made a Street 90s version, or Spec 90s, that's what it was called. This is the Spec 90s version, so this is a bit more of a particular style of car, so it's got a bit of a lip on the front. You can see how it's slightly different to the other one. It's a bit lower. It's got some 90s style wheels on it. It's slightly different. Now someone went and they made a version which is more of a Kyusha style, and that's this car. And it comes in various different colours and shapes. As you can see here, we've got lots of different liveries that we can put on the car. I particularly like the Trust one. So this particular style actually has a few different styling cues, which are that of these over fenders and also small wheels with lots of tyre stretch going on. So that's the kind of idea. Now this particular one has also got a couple of other cues of this style, which are things like this big ducktail wing and also this spoiler on the underneath of the car, which is a bit like the kind of spoiler that you would expect on the top of a car to go there, but they put it just under the rear bumper. It's something that is particularly known in the Kyusha style. It's similar almost to a Bosozoku style, but the Bosozoku is a bit more crazy. So a Bosozoku car will have much wider arches. Sometimes they have this shark nose coming out the front of the car, and all kinds of different things going on that make it Bosozoku. But this one's obviously really cool. Really like this style. So I just thought I'd showcase this for you guys just to check out the car, and let's see how it drives. Okay guys, here we are at Okawa, which is a lesser known track that's available for Assetto Corsa. I know it from having seen some videos of old Japanese drifting. It's a pretty cool track. It's got an interesting infield section, which is fairly simple really, mainly second gear. Oh, that's not a very good start, is it? But yeah, mainly second gear in this bit. And what I really like about this track is actually the straight section coming past the pits, where you can get a really nice wide flick across the circuit. Hold the car out really wide. Bit of a pull of a handbrake across to the wall. And it's really cool to be able to run a wall. It's a feature of quite a few popular Japanese tracks that are known for drifting, most of which are actually karting circuits that they decided they would use for drifting. It's quite different to what you see elsewhere in the world. I know in the UK a lot of the circuits that do drifting aren't exactly karting circuits. I think one of the most popular ones at the moment is Rockingham Speedway. Is actually obviously a speedway circuit, so it's got this big oval, and the infield section is made of these really large open corners, often requiring third or fourth gear, whereas the circuits in Japan like this one and Meihan or Bihoku for example, they're all really tight and twisty, mostly second gear. If they do get into third, then usually the guys that are running those tracks, especially if they're local and and they mainly just run that single track. Like, I know the guys at Mayhem run a really high diff setting, so they'll run a differential in the car that means that they'll have a short gear ratio, which basically means that they can get up into third gear without having to go really fast. Just so happens that whatever this car is running actually works out really nicely for this circuit. That's one little problem there, is that I do get bogging in this car every now and then. If I let the revs drop down a little too low in second gear, then it can really bog down. But the thing is with drifting is it requires the throttle control to be able to let the car sort of bog down a little bit sometimes. It's just what's required. See how close we can get to the wall this time. I felt close. Now, I've only driven this car like once before recording this video, so I'm not really sure how long the car is. It's kind of hard to tell when you're in a game how long your car is. It's a bit easier to tell when you're actually feeling a real car around you. But so far, my initial impressions of this car is actually it handles very well. I think the handling of this car might have been updated since I first installed the S13 from Street Heroes. Whatever they have done has worked very well. Really like this car actually. Now, I did find on my first go on this and a little bit of testing that I did, I just changed the setup slightly. One, because I wanted it to just look a bit lower as well, because I do like having a low car. And also I had to up the tyre pressures a bit and also turn the turbo up a bit. Just to get that little bit more power. And also the tyres on this car for some reason just don't seem to heat up. So I'm having to run about 40 psi in the rear. In order to just make sure that the tyres are not giving me too much traction, because as I said, I am finding it bogs every now and then, just bogs down slightly with the turbo lag. The things I really like about this car are the amount of steering lock. Most drift mods that you get, especially the most popular ones like the SDC mod for example, are cars with huge amounts of power and huge amounts of steering lock, which means you can do big angle drifts in high gears, lots of smoke. Pretty cool, but not really kind of style that I like to go for. I prefer more street oriented style, a bit more realistic car. But also I like the style as well, I like the style of this car. It's very streets of Japan. It's also quite retro. Very retro styling, very 90s. And the Kyushu style really is an interesting style with the over fenders and rare wheels. The wheels that people run as the Kyushu style are usually the rarest of them all. Very hard to get hold of. Usually what you do is you'll buy a set from Japan, usually actually a pair. You'll buy a pair and then you've got to try and find another pair. Oh, a bit shallow there. And then you have to re-barrel them, because usually they're 3-piece wheels. And the face is what you want for the style, but you need to have a wider wheel so that you can have a cool dish like this car has. A cool dish of the rims. So you have to get new barrels for them and everything, so it can be a expensive thing to collect. But it all adds to the coolness of the car, really. I find the front end of this car is responding very well to my inputs. It's quite direct. I don't know if you guys saw that. My screen just turned off for a sec. Right, where was I? Yeah, the front end of the car is quite direct to my inputs. It's got a good amount of grip. The front tyres are actually warming up a bit more than the back tyres, which is really strange. I'm not sure what's going on there. I might have to find some different tyres to be able to put on the car. There's something I really think is cool about this car is I've lowered it to the amount that just means it looks good without the car clipping through the floor or the wheels clipping through the arches, because sometimes if you lower a car too much, the wheels can not just rub on the arch, they actually poke through the arches in this game. So you don't want to lower a car too much because it just looks weird. But I've lowered it as far as it can go for that, and I think it's the exhaust actually touches the ground and you can hear it constantly scraping the ground as I'm drifting. I'll shut up for a sec so you guys can hear it. So yeah, as you can hear, the car is scraping along the ground constantly, which is obviously not that practical, but I don't really care about practicality at the moment. But it's super cool to have such a low car. And it's still functional as well. You find a lot of the time as well, I found with mods that I've tried in the past, that when you lower them this much, you get some real problems with the suspension geometry because it's a bit lower than what Assetto Corsa really wants you to have it. So the calculations get messed up slightly sometimes, which can sometimes completely ruin the handling of the car, and also sometimes to make the wheels fit under the arches without clipping you have to give it lots of camber, which again can ruin the handling of the car. But this is actually, even though I did increase the camber a bit and I did lower the car pretty much as low as it can go without causing issues, it's responded very well. That was quite an aggressive little flick into that corner there. Right, let's see if we can get a couple more runs in. Also, if you can make sure you keep the revs up, then the engine is actually nice and responsive. Obviously it's running a 4-cylinder S13 engine, which is what came in these cars in Japan. Some versions of this car in America and in the UK came in the format of having a CA something, CA13 I think it was called. Or is it a KA? Can't remember. I think it was a CA in the S13 and a KA in the S14. I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments. Oh, we're close to the wall there. I had to abort the amount of angle I wanted there. But this one is a turbo SR20 engine, which, like I said, low revs, a bit unresponsive, but once you're up there you can really use the responsiveness of having a 4-cylinder. It's great. Make some nice throttle adjustments, make sure you're keeping your drift nice and smooth. One more run, I think. Try and get really aggressive with this one. Woo! Alright guys, so this was the Street Heroes 180SX. This is the Kyushu edition. Now you can find a link to the Facebook group for these guys in the description. You will need to ask to join the group in order to download the mod. Downloading the mod is fairly simple, same as any other mod that you have installed before. As you can see, it's really cool. I really recommend it actually. It handles very well. And but yeah, thanks for watching guys. Do give us a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed this, and keep your eyes peeled for lots more content. I'll see if there's any other mods that I can showcase for you guys. I'll catch you soon.
Well, how do you like it? Makes me feel